I was like, it's $169 a month. She was like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? And literally what she said, she is, you better go every day to make that gym membership worth it. And I was like, you know what? I will. And ever since then, like, you know,
God bless your siblings, man. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Full Send Podcast. Today, we have the Monroe Miller Show. Dude, what's going on?
Not a whole lot.
All right.
I'm like...
Are you nervous?
Yeah, I am a little nervous.
You come on the show every week, and as soon as the spotlight's on you, it's like...
It's the same thing that you said when I interviewed you. It's like, I don't want to look like an idiot when I don't know the answer to the question.
Yeah, and you also did... I'm trying to think. I didn't even see the questions when I was doing this. It's going to be the same thing for you.
Yep.
It's going to be good, though. All right, guys, so today we get to talk about Monroe's story, how he came to CrossFit, growing up, a whole bunch of stuff. If there's a question that we don't get to here, we want to hear it in the comments. Just put it below, something that you'd like to hear about Monroe's story. Dude, let's start with goals, what we're doing in the gym currently. Let's start there, and then we'll dive in. Does that sound good?
It sounds good.
Cool. What are you working on in the gym right now, dude?
So I am working on fixing my hamstring glute issue.
How's that going?
It's going well.
Good.
Met with Dr. Jim. So he, has a plan for a couple exercises that I can do every day that will help me get back to where I need to be. Yeah. So it's kind of weird because he, said my hamstrings are really weak. And he said that a few times and I'm like, are my hamstrings weak? Are they weak? And it's not so much.
So he said that about you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's not
okay.
so it's not so much that my hamstrings are weak. They're weak relative to my quads. And so I've kind of been learning a whole lot about, how these opposing sides of your body, kind of push and pull and end up screwing up other things. So part of my issue is recruitment. So I'm really working on, figuring out how to recruit my glutes and hamstrings. So it's kind of not like the fun, like just lifting heavy and doing fun stuff, but it's really important to get back to that. So
it's so strange to hear you say that. In some ways, your hamstrings are weak because you're one of the strongest guys that I definitely know, and I think our audience can certainly adhere to that as well. So that's interesting, man. Keep us posted on that. As far as what I'm working on, I am I'm definitely 3 weeks in. No tantrums, no nothing. It's been pretty calm, cool, collected when I've been in the gym, and I've still been getting in here multiple times a day. Outside of traveling a little bit to Utah, but when I was there, we were playing golf, going up and down mountains. We were doing a bunch of stuff. So still looking good there. Fiance and I, Sydney, we're starting to do a little bit of Murph prep.
On a weekly.
Yeah, so we're doing that kind of on a weekly basis. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably have an episode coming out about that relatively soon. And all we're doing for that is some semblance of body weight related movement with some running kind of once a week where we just get to kind of come in here together. And we'll do some variation of push-ups, air squats, maybe some pull-ups, and then running in addition to that, which should be pretty fun.
So one other thing that I've been kind of tossing around in my head is like a little personal challenge for me.
For May.
So I want to get better at my weaknesses as I'm kind of obviously repairing this big weakness in my glute hamstring issue.
Yeah.
But I suck at push-ups. I hate push-ups. It's just like an awful movement for me for whatever reason. So I wanted to spend May kind of working on that. And I love the do something every day thing. And my first thought was okay, well, how about I do plus 10 push-ups every day? So day 30, I'm doing 300. Day 15, I'm doing 150.
Right.
And that would just help me tobuild slowly while I'm getting used to it. And then really kind of crush myself with some volume at the end. Still kind of toying around with the idea. I talked to Pat. He was like, I think it sounds gimmicky. And he gave me this other idea of how to improve my push-ups. But I'm definitely going to spend some time working on push-ups over the next few months.
Yeah, I remember you shared that idea with us maybe yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. I think it'd be great. I think that'd be a wonderful way just to work on your push-ups, man. No better way to get better at push-ups than to do a bunch of push-ups. Cool.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, hey, let's dive into the Monroe Miller story. No particular order here. I think we're going to kind of go chronologically here as far as your life goes, but we're going to kind of mix and match as it goes. What is your birth name?
Monroe Bart Miller.
Okay, so...
and Bart is spelled with an H.
So I met some friends of yours a couple weeks ago. They called you Bart. What were you called growing up, and like why do you transition between names?
I didn't even think this was going to be a question about that. Yeah. So yeah, everybody that knows me, basically college and prior, knows me as Bart. So my family still calls me Bart. Like when I go home, my mom's like, "Hey, is Bart coming over for dinner?" Like they call me Bart. And when I didn't finish college, when I was starting kind of like the next stage of my life, I was working at Starbucks, and I was going to be an assistant manager and a manager eventually. But when I made that change and I was stepping into a new realm, that was the same time that I started CrossFit. So I had all these new friend groups, new circles, and I was like, I wanted something to like, I never liked my name.
You didn't like Bart, or you didn't like Monroe?
I didn't like, I like Monroe. I didn't like Bart because of Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a thing when my parents were naming me.
Yeah.
I didn't like that it's spelled B-A-R-T-H. And I didn't like that it's my middle name. And so I was like M. Bart Miller, and then like just, do I write just Bart Miller, but then that's my middle name? What do I put on first name? You know, It's just like always like that kind of weirdness. And I felt like that since my parents called me Bart, I felt like that was like my juvenile name. And as I was moving into this new circle of friends at the gym and trying to do this new thing with Starbucks, like I was, I guess, becoming an adult. And so I wanted to take the more like formal sounding adult name of Monroe.
Yeah. So I'm with you. Awesome. Thanks for elaborating on that.
I still get crap for it all the time, though. Like, my friends that know me before, they're like, "Oh, yeah, how you doing, Monroe?" And it's, like, super weird when they say it.
Dude.
And then Morgan will be like, "Yeah, Bart, what do you think?" And I'm like, Morgan, you don't know me like
if they
that.
didn't love you,
Don't
man,
call me
they
like
wouldn't
that.
give you shit, you know?
Yeah.
That's how you know that your friends really care about you.
For sure.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Salem, Massachusetts.
How long were you there for?
I was there until I was 10. I moved here when I was 11.
Okay. And then how did your family end up in Northern Virginia?
So, I was born in, like I said, Salem, Massachusetts. My family was, my dad worked in like aerospace engineering, IT type stuff.
Yeah.
And my mom was a visiting nurse. So my mom homeschooled us all growing up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I was homeschooled too. Interesting.
Yeah. So I was homeschooled all growing up. My mom would, school us during the week, and my dad would work. My dad would take us to Boston on the weekends, and my mom would do visiting nurse stuff, like working crazy shifts on the weekends.
Yeah.
So they made it work, but my dad got... So when I was a kid, actually, he told me that he got a promotion and that we were moving to Virginia because of this great job offer or whatever. Yeah. I guess now come to find out that it wasn't a promotion, that there was like something like his job in Massachusetts was ending and he had to find something new. So he kind of got pushed out, which I wasn't aware of until like recently. But yeah, his job moved him down here, so my mom could kind of work from wherever. But
yeah, what was your experience like growing up in Northern Virginia compared to what you can remember of the Massachusetts area?
So I was a little kid in Massachusetts. So I think I have a very rose-colored vision of what Boston and Massachusetts is. Boston is a beautiful city to me. I don't know what it looks like now. I haven't been there in like 15 years, but just like history, walking down all of the historical places in Boston with my dad every weekend, like, going to Faneuil Hall, watching street performers, like just doing stuff like that. Fond memories of that kind of stuff. But here, I guess all of like my friendships are. So I feel like I have a much stronger connection to Virginia. But I was homeschooled in Massachusetts and I wasn't here, so that was a huge shock. So I was like kind of lived a sheltered life.
Yeah, so you went to school when you were 10, 11 years old?
Yeah, so sixth grade was the first time entering.
Yeah, same
and it was
thing
like,
happened to me, yeah.
And like, you know, it's so weird. Like, my parents homeschooled me, so as soon as I get thrown into public school, they're like, "Oh, you're a smart kid. You've been homeschooled. We're getting all advanced classes." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know, so they stuck me into like the smarter kids classes. I had glasses. I had acne. I was like overweight. I didn't know anything about like what middle school kids were talking about, like girls and that kind of stuff. Like I didn't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, got picked on a lot in sixth grade, but you know, we made it through there.
Yeah, man, bullies suck. I remember that. I went through halfway through fifth grade, new kid. Same deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Childhood memories aside, how many siblings do you have?
Only one.
Sister, brother?
Sister. She's older.
How would you describe your relationship between you and your sister?
How would I hope she doesn't watch this. I don't know. How would I describe it? I think we have a good relationship. My sister is very independent. She's very like on her own mission, doing her own thing, and kind of always has been. I'd say we're pretty close, but I also don't talk to her that often. Mm-hmm. And like, I think when I started dating Morgan and like getting involved with her and her family, like it was kind of a shock to me like how close she is with all of her family. Yeah. And I'm like, is it weird that I like she talks to my sister more than I talk to her? Yeah. Like you know, if I text my sister, she's gonna be like, "What do you want?" But like Max, her brother, will call her and be like, "Hey." I'm like, what are you on the phone with Max about? Like, what does he need? Yeah. You know, so but yeah, no, I love my sister. She does CrossFit, you know, she's cool. Yeah. Beat me up when I was a little kid, picked on me.
Yeah, it's natural for older siblings to do to younger siblings, right? It's like a rite of passage.
For sure.
Good to go. How would your mother describe you as a child growing up? Take a big swig, man.
Wait, my mother or my father?
Your mother.
My mother would say that I am a sweet boy. As a kid. You said growing up. How am I mother
describe growing up? Okay,
not
I said growing up because that's the part of the life that I kind of want to go over right now. Excellent.
Yeah.
Back when you were in high school, what did you want to do with your life if you could pick anything back then? How did you envision yourself when you were growing up?
So in high school, what did I want to do when I was growing up? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was in high school and going into college, I thought I wanted to do chemistry because I was enamored by my chemistry teacher. I had this organic chemistry teacher who just like made everything make sense to me in chemistry, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And so I was really, fascinated by that subject, and so that's what I, started into college, and my degree was in chemistry. And then I got to college and realized that it's like a lot of work to, figure out more than what, I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of like what I was passionate about was because of the teachers that I had. Mm-hmm. So I always try and do that. I think that's part of why I love this so much is I'm so passionate about it. I'm so passionate about teaching it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get excited about math or whatever, but.
Yeah, that's really interesting just in that transition. Did you really like chemistry, or did you like it just because of your experience with your teachers?
So I think I liked it because of my experience with that teacher for the last 2 years. Like, she made it interesting. She made it like I really, and like organic chemistry is like pretty complicated stuff. And
I'm surprised you guys took that in high school, man. That's not easy.
I was wrapping my head around it. Like it started to make sense, and it was like. It was like math, but like real world application, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. And towards the end of high school and college, though, I just I felt like I didn't understand why I was learning what I was learning, and so I just kind of stopped caring so much. Yeah. And that was my experience going to college. Was I was like, why am I taking math class again? Like, why do I need this? And it wasn't like. I was taking like an English class. It's like, why am I writing papers? Like, I just wrote papers for years. Like, teach me how to manage money or open a business or something.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. And that's a good transition into your college career and the story there, because that kind of gets you into how you came to CrossFit and everything. You went to George Mason, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your experience at George Mason? What happened during college? If you're comfortable sharing.
So So what was my experience at George Mason? My experience at George Mason was I was the first time away from my family and my parents and any kind of like anybody telling me what I had to do.
Yeah.
So I instantly thought it's party time, and so I did that. So I partied a lot, joined a fraternity,
Partied more.
Got in trouble, and then I got in trouble, and I got kicked off of housing from campus. So I was living on campus. Mason is like a commuter school, and it's right in Fairfax, so it wasn't too far. And my dad, basically the deal that we had was he had my college paid for as long as I got a 3.0 or above. He would keep paying for my classes. So I missed the mark in the first semester, and so he was like, well, sorry, you screwed up. You don't get to go back to college. And I had just joined this fraternity, and I was like, all of my friends, all of my brothers, all of my like everything, my life is at George Mason in Fairfax.
Yeah.
And so I took out a government loan to go back to school for another semester, and I ended up living in like one of the houses of the guys in the fraternity.
Yeah.
So I lived in a house close to campus and just kind of like did my own thing living off campus. And my plan was to go back and like take things seriously, and to actually like, study and pass.
Yeah. So what happened that second semester?
So what happened the second semester was I had incomplete judicial sanctions from the previous semester, and I was basically suspended from school for the second semester for incomplete judicial sanctions from the first semester. And the reason I didn't finish them in the first semester was because when I left, I was like, I'm not going back. Why do I need to do X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
So, that's my story with college and George Mason.
So was that as far as you got into college then?
Yeah, so I got through about a semester and a half.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was kind of like, crap, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Because I was like, my dad, when I went to, and I should have listened to my dad, and this is like,
don't you hate it when you like utter those words? I should have listened to my mom, and dude, I can't even count how many times I've said exactly those words before.
My dad and I, kind of had a rough patch from like high school to, only like 5 years ago. Things have gotten, better.
Yeah.
5 years ago. And I was really resented him for a lot of things that he like forced me to do. But one thing that he said when I was in high school was, he was like, you're not ready to go to college. You should join the military. And I was like, no, I need to go to college. Everyone goes to college after high school. That's just what you do. And then now I've realized hey, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Your life is going to follow the path that your life follows. And if, when I've tried to follow the crowd and be like, oh, well, the next step in the steps of life is go to college. The next one is this. It's like, that's when things go bad. So I always just kind of learn from that and follow my heart. And, it's kind of led me to where I am now.
Yeah. So, okay. We didn't get all the way through college. When did CrossFit come into play? So shortly after, I tried to stay living in Fairfax for the next 6 months to a year, not going to college. I was working on George Mason campus overnight as a barista at Starbucks. I was working like a part-time job just to kind of pay rent in Fairfax as a barista. Ended up moving in with my sister in her townhouse in South Riding when I kind of gave up on my I'm going to go to college and live in college pursuits. Yeah.
So I moved back in with my sister in a townhouse in South Riding, or condo in South Riding. And I was working at the Starbucks right off 50 and Lee Road.
Yeah.
And Chantilly. And right around the corner from there was Hammer Down CrossFit. And I would work in the mornings, and there would be this group of people that would come in after their morning class. And this guy, Todd, the owner of the gym, drove a big Ford Raptor that had like all these like stickers on the sides that Hammer Down CrossFit and like all this cool stuff. And I was like, damn, that looks cool. Like, and the people just seemed like I didn't want to work out. Like I had no desire to do fitness.
It's hard hearing those words from you.
I didn't walk into it. Like I wasn't like, oh man, I need to get in shape. Oh man, I need to get stronger. I need to start working out so I can get a girlfriend or whatever. And I was smoking cigarettes. I was drinking coffee. Like I was like not living a healthy lifestyle.
What the hell drew you to like walk into the doors eventually?
So it was that I wanted to hang out with those people. Like I saw them as like
they had their shit together.
Yeah, they had their shit together. They're just like exuding like positivity and like healthiness, and like they would just come in after. I mean, when you see somebody that's just finished a really hard workout, like you have this like sweat's pumping, you're feeling good, like blood's running. You're like, hey, you meet somebody right after you do a nice hard workout and you crushed it, like you're on cloud 9. And so I think I just felt that like, hey, they just crushed a workout and had a great time at this gym, and I felt that energy come into Starbucks. And eventually I was kind of like, hey, what is this? What is CrossFit? What are you guys doing? And Todd was like, why don't you come over and check out a class? And I was like, okay, perfect, sure, why not? Looked up a couple videos on YouTube, didn't really know what I was getting into. And like I said, I had no desire to do health. Like I had no desire to work out. And I did this workout and I didn't even really enjoy it. And that's why we do like our onboarding process the way we do, because I want people to like gently be led into like the experience of having CrossFit. Like,
yeah.
I did Filthy 50 my first day.
That was the first day?
Yeah, and
that's
so I walked
brutal.
in. Yeah, it's brutal from like a person if you're fit, but like from a person walking off the street not fit, it's the worst thing you can possibly walk into, because it's a whole bunch of random movements that you've never done. It's super confusing because not only you have to learn all 10 different movements, you have to understand like, why am I doing 50 and then moving to the next one? It's just like, it's just not the best like first experience to have.
No, it's not.
So, yeah. So, but I remember finishing the workout and being like getting whooped by this woman, Carol, who was like, I think at the time in her 50s, maybe late 40s.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this woman is just like walking circles around me. And Todd, like, he was like, oh, here, you're going to be with Carol today. Like, she's just going to kind of like follow her through the workout. Like, she's going to kind of give you some pointers. She wasn't a coach or anything. She was just some woman that went there. Man, and I just got smoked by her. And I was just like, what is this? Yeah. And then I remember afterwards, he was like, so you have any questions, whatever? And I was like, oh, yeah, how much does it cost? And he was like, that's $169 a month.
And this is in what, 2011, 12, something like that?
2010, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, yeah, late 2010. And I was making, like, no money.
That'd be a big sticker shock.
And I was just like, yeah, sure. And I was like I said, like, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have a good time.
So why did you sign up?
Because I was so convinced that I just wanted to be a CrossFitter. Like, I wanted to be with that group. Like, I just wanted to be a part of it. And, like, for a while when I first started, like, I didn't feel like I was, like, good enough to say that I was a CrossFitter. And that sounds stupid to me now, But, like, I mean, I talk to, people, like, don't want to use that. It's like, dude, if you're playing football, are you a football player?
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent, right?
Dude, I totally follow you. Okay, guys, so if you're listening to this, I'd love to have your comments in below. What was your first CrossFit workout that you ever did? Mine was 2159 calories on the rower in overhead squats. I loaded up the bar at 95 pounds thinking I was a badass, and then eventually went down to a PVC pipe. Still couldn't do full range of motion, finished last in the class. That was back in December 2016. I'd love to hear your comments there below. All right, so you joined. You were just convinced that you wanted to be a CrossFitter. When and how did your mind shift start to shift a little bit, and you were like, hey, I'm really starting to enjoy this. I want to be really good at this.
Yeah, so I think that I started to enjoy it when I felt like I was seeing improvement, and I took to Olympic weightlifting like kind of naturally. So I was like kind of good at weightlifting from the beginning, and so that was like a fun thing. Yeah, I mean, like you've done,
that's awesome.
You've done plenty of intros with people where like some people just don't have the like, and I think it's just coordination. I think it's the coordination agility piece, and I think I had just enough coordination agility, and I could understand it, and I had some good teachers from the beginning. So I think I kind of it clicked from the beginning a little bit, and that helped my progression. But yeah, I mean, it's just like the atmosphere and the vibe, like it was just everything about it. I mean, what really made me, I guess, stick to it was my sister, because when I went home that first night, she was like, oh, whatever. And I was like, hey, I signed up for this gym. It's a CrossFit gym. And she was like, okay, what is that? And I was like, yeah, it's this awesome fitness thing, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, okay, well, like, she was like, how much are you paying? I was like, it's $169 a month. She was like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? And literally what she said, she is, you better go every day to make that gym membership worth it. And I was like, you know what? I will. And ever since then, like,
God bless your siblings, man.
Yeah. So it's like, her just saying like, hey, if you're going to spend that much, you better make sure you're using that thing to its full extent. And so, yeah, then I just like, I just got to, like, I started to have FOMO where, like, and it wasn't like now where you see the whole week ahead of time. We send out the whole week of programming ahead of time. It was like the workout was on the board when you walk in the morning.
And there was no other place where you could see it published?
Not when I first started.
Yeah.
And then they had a blog, where it was like 9 o'clock at night it was published, and it was just the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, hey, what's the workout, So, I don't know. It was fun. But yeah, that's when I started to really get into it. When I got good at it again.
So when did you start to consider, hey, I might want to open up my own gym? When did that come into play?
Have you read the E-Myth?
No. What is the E-Myth for those of us who don't know what that is?
Okay, so there's a book called the E-Myth. It's the Entrepreneurial Myth.
Okay.
And basically it's a book about basically the pitfalls of entrepreneurship. And a great book if you have not read it, especially if you're a business owner. But this is definitely something that I should have read before I started opening the business. But
I thought you were going to say that you did read it prior. I wanted to go into it.
No. One of the big things that they say about that is that one of the reasons that entrepreneurs open businesses is because they look at their boss and say, that's not that hard and I can do it better. And so that was my total mindset going into this, was like, all I did was I went, I took out my phone and I was like, okay, there's 150 people here times 169. And I was like, those are big dollars that I'm not making at Starbucks, right? And I was like, this guy is not, there's holes in what he's doing, and I know I can do it better. And I mean, my, overconfident 23-year-old self was, I guess foolish in not realizing what I was about to embark on. But it was definitely worth it at this point. So,
yeah, you can definitely say that. Did you ever envision yourself working full time at a CrossFit gym when you started?
When I started coaching?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love coaching. Like, and that's what I really got in, and like, I'm not a businessman. I've learned how to run a business, and I've learned how, that's all the studying that I do now is in like how to get better at business, but I was obsessed with coaching. I loved, and I've always wanted to I've always known that I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
When the chemistry thing kind of died after college, I tried to join the military again, and I wanted to go into the medic route. So I always had this, my mom was a nurse. So I think that that wanting to help people has always kind of been a big thing for me. Mm-hmm. So coaching was a good avenue for me to express that. So I loved the coaching aspect from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, like I said, when I started following my heart and stopped just following what everybody else was doing, I was all in on CrossFit. It was if there was an opportunity for me to pay my bills and make it my whole life, I would in a heartbeat, which is why I opened the gym. It just took 6 years for me to be able to do that first. So.
Yeah. So your role changed, through the years. I mean, when you initially opened this stuff, you were part-time, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, we opened in a garage in 2013, and yeah, it was just kind of, we did a couple night classes. I opened with a business partner, Scott, who some of you know. He's here now, still with me. So we opened in his garage, and I was living in his townhouse in South Riding. And that was just, the next place that I happened to have moved after my sister moved on, and I met Scott from Hammerdown.
Yeah.
So we were working out together and buddies. We had a group chat. A bunch of people were like, man, we should start a gym. Man, Todd sucks. We should start a gym. This happened. I don't like, and like, honestly, like the complaints from them, from what was going on at the other gym was that like, they couldn't do their own programming, and I was starting to try and like push the envelope athletically, and I wanted to do extra workouts, and I was like, why is this guy going to tell me I can't just work out?
Yeah.
So that's kind of more part of that story, but.
Yeah, I got you. So eventually you got into some semblance of being competitive in CrossFit. I mean, you had a great open this year. But, back in the day when Monroe Miller was at his peak, I don't know, that's 2017, 2016. I mean, you really did get serious about that. How much were you working out back then? When did you take a look and you were like, okay, I maybe want to qualify for, I guess it was probably regionals back then. It might have even been sectionals because you go that far back.
Yeah, so I really started getting serious when I felt like I was close. So like the first couple years I did CrossFit, it was just kind of getting into it and learning a lot about the movements and the culture and, just how to do workouts, learning about myself, improving my fitness. And then, I got to a point where I was doing everything RX. And I was like no longer on the bottom of the whiteboard, and I was like, hey, that guy that I was looking at 2 years ago, now I'm like
Carol.
Yeah, Carol. Now I'm like, whooping him and I'm coming up. So that obviously makes you hungry to want more and to keep pushing more, and that's one thing that's great about CrossFit in this environment is that it is competitive. And that, without a competitive environment, people don't tend to like really excel. So I think competition is great within the right kind of parameters. So I started to get serious, I guess just before we opened Verity. And then when we opened the gym, it was like, I have my own gym now. I'm training 3 hours a day, so I'd do 2 sessions typically, or I'd pretty much train for 3 hours straight. We had a group of people back at the old gym that was just like, that's what it was about, and it was awesome. But things were also kind of sacrificed and let go, during that time, like the business stuff, so I was really average at being a business owner, and I was really average at, being a manager of a Starbucks. So I stopped managing the Starbucks, kind of dove in with the gym, ended up not being able to make enough money to feed myself, so I picked up bartending to pay the bills. But I played that kind of like half in, half out game for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I do feel very blessed to be able to make this my life and, to have, I guess, figured it out. So
that's
cool.
Awesome. That's fantastic, dude. So between being an owner and being an athlete, what's the greatest failure that you've learned what's the greatest failure you've experienced through CrossFit, and what did you learn?
Were those 2 separate times?
Either one.
Okay, so
right? Either one. And if you want to give 2 answers, you can.
Yeah, so
but
let's give 2 answers. So what was the it was as an athlete, what was my greatest failure?
Do an athlete first and then do a business owner second.
Okay, so as an athlete, what was my greatest failure? My greatest failure was not paying attention to my lifestyle outside of the gym. And I see this with a lot of people where they have a goal and they do absolutely everything that is fun for them and that excites them to get them to the goal.
Yeah.
Except for the things that really suck, like doing mobility, like doing nutrition, like doing, mindset stuff, like sleeping, like not partying, like, that kind of stuff. So I trained my ass off. I had a lot of talent, I was kind of naturally gifted with some of this stuff. And I worked really hard. I had coaching, I had great program, everything. But I would work out for 3 hours, be dead tired, and I would order takeout Chinese on the way home. And I did that for forever. And I got, you still get really fit and really strong eating like crap, but you're not going to get to that. You're not going to get to the games that way.
Yeah.
And in 2017, the goal was always regionals. And regionals in 2016 was the top 52 men and women from each region go on to the regional. And I was, top 500, top 300. And then I was like, okay, got to make it into the top 100. So I made it into the top 100 in 2017 when I was at my peak, knowing that I needed to make top 52, right? And I was like, if I'm close enough in the top 100, I can probably get it. And what ended up happening was in 2017, they went to the super regional format and ended up only taking like 5 from each region.
Yeah.
So it was like I had done all of this work for the pool to just go to like nothing. And even like, I was like 76th in the region in 2017, I think. And for me, and I just saw the amount of work and time that I put in to get there. And I was like, the amount of effort that it would take for me to go from top 75 to the top 20 now is like another level. And it's another level of dedication and stuff that I wasn't willing to do, right? So that's kind of where I made that decision. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. And I think that it's important that people realize that, you can have a goal for a long time, and as soon as things don't, you can change your goal tomorrow.
Things change, man. Yeah.
But what matters is that you're all in when you're all in on what you're all in on.
Yeah.
So,
greatest failure as a business owner, and what did you learn?
Greatest failure as a business owner. Oh man, still making all sorts of those mistakes.
When I think of what I've at least done in my professional career from a failure standpoint and what I leared, there's a lot. There's a lot to choose from. But go ahead, pick first thing maybe off the top of your mind, Monroe.
So, greatest failure as a business owner. Greatest failure as a business owner. I mean, like, I don't, like in CrossFit, I missed my mark. Like, I don't feel like I've missed the mark quite yet.
Yeah.
Cause like, I got through the shutdown, which I feel like was the hardest part of my gym owner life so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, greatest failure. I mean, I would just say like not paying attention to same kind of situation. Like, dude, I'm great with the day-to-day here, like the taxes, like the county, the permits, like that kind of stuff. That's where I'm like, it's the same stuff, it's like I want to be great at coaching people, being here, having a great time, doing all this stuff in the moment, but the stuff that actually like helps the business grow, like paying attention to the numbers and looking at the P&L and doing all that kind of stuff, like the stretching and the eating clean.
Yeah.
That I would say that's not paying more attention to that earlier is the reason that it's taken me 7 years to like finally feel like I have a grasp on what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, I guess very similar answer, but I also don't feel like I've failed. We're I feel very blessed to have all of this. So
what is your favorite memory of all time being at Verity Speed and Strength? And if you need to do like a highlight reel, you can.
Like
but favorite memory or memories here, I would say pick between like 1 and 3. And if you got one, what was it?
Man. Favorite memory. I hate questions like this.
All right.
Because
Why do you
I
hate
just,
questions like this?
Okay, I hate questions like this because I just start racking my brain, and I'm like, oh, that was a great memory. Oh, that was a great memory. Oh, that was a great one. But is it the best?
Well, maybe not. Let's
Maybe
do this.
not.
Let's do highlights of some of your favorite memories, man. Just go like rapid fire
Ooh.
here for a couple.
Highlights of some of my favorite moments. I would say that the first time doing 100 unbroken wall balls.
That's serious. That's cool.
I mean, like big lifts for sure, but I don't know. It's just been so much like, it's been like my life, you know? So it's like, what's the best moment out of the last 7 years of your life?
Yeah.
You know,
All
it's
right.
like, I don't know.
So Monroe is stuck for words here, guys, so we want you to help him out. If you guys
Sorry.
can put in the comments, what's your favorite memory over here at Verity Speed and Strength? We'd love to hear from you on that. Okay, so you're married, you have a family.
Yes.
Tell me about Morgan.
What do you want to know? I'll tell you all.
How did you meet?
We met at Cooper's Hawk Winery Restaurant.
Okay.
So after, like I said, the barista thing didn't work, it wasn't a barista. I was managing a Starbucks, trying to manage a Starbucks and run a business. Didn't work. So I ditched the manager of Starbucks to be a bartender. Ended up making way more money as a bartender than a manager at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And had my time freedom. Got fired from the first bar that I worked at, Velocity Wings. Great restaurant, love their wings, but yeah, got fired because I was not a female bartender and they wanted all female bartenders.
Interesting.
So, interesting thing. But yeah, then after that went to work for Pike's Fish House, and then found my way following the manager there to Cooper's Hawk Winery Restaurant when they opened. So I opened Cooper's Hawk, and then my now wife was a server and I was a bartender. So just flirting with each other across the well, and I don't know. She'll tell you that I turned her down 100 times.
Yeah, did you?
No. My thing was that I'm a professional and I'm at work, okay?
Yeah.
And sure, if I want to like flirt with a cute girl that I'm attracted to at work, I think that's like, I'm gonna keep it professional. But I'm not going to like overstep my bounds, and I'm not gonna like go and like try and like, sleep with people that I work with. That's not cool.
Yeah.
And, so I was very adamant that I was like, look, I'm not dating anyone from work. So no, we're not going on a date, even though I liked her. And like,
That's very
we were going
professional
out.
of you.
Yeah, super professional. And then, we went on a date that wasn't really a date.
What was that date like?
So the date was like our first time hanging out, and she's like, it's our first date, and I was like adamant that it was not a date.
Yeah.
Because I'm a professional. So this is not a date. We went out for sushi at our now like favorite sushi restaurant.
That's great.
Went to see a movie. She, took her back to her house. She was like, hey, do you want to come meet my puppy? And I was like, she's trying to lure me in. No. And so I was like, sure, I'll go see your puppy. Said hi puppy, and then like literally walked, like didn't give her a kiss goodnight, didn't even hug her goodbye. Like I was like almost cold to her.
Man.
And so she'll like tell you that like, I was like this jerk and whatever.
What drew you to Morgan initially, or eventually, if we have to use that word?
What drew me to her? So I like a challenge. Like I like things that like organic chemistry. I like that it's challenging, and I like that I'm good at it. Like I like, same thing with CrossFit. Like I like when I'm good at something and it's challenging. And so like I was in this point with Morgan where I was like, I knew she liked me, but it was like she was also challenging. Like she was challenging me as a person. And so it's like, she was the first person that like I got in a fight with. Like girlfriend got in a fight with.
Yeah.
And while she was yelling at me, and we weren't even dating at the point, but I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. I was like, I need to listen to this girl. I just had this like, I don't know, it's just drawn to her. Like she challenges me, makes me a better person, and like, that's what it's about. So
I love that, man. I'm getting married in June.
Congratulations. I'm happy for you.
It's not about me, but what I would like to know is what is your best piece of marriage advice that you would give either me, or maybe you'd go back a few years and tell a younger Monroe Miller?
So honesty is everything. And that's been something that Morgan and I have like always had. It's like, I don't care if you're not doing the right thing. Like if she would call me and I was like, I don't know, out screwing around with my buddy, which she told me not, like, I was supposed to hang out with her and I wanted to go screw around with my buddy instead, and she called me and was like, hey, where are you? Like, don't lie.
Yeah.
No, like, honesty is everything, even about the stupidest things. Because when you start lying about the stupid things, then you start lying about the things that really matter.
Yeah.
And if you don't have honesty and you don't have that trust, then you don't have anything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So relationships are built on honesty and trust, and just being like completely open with each other. Like, you're a partner, and like I think of the word marriage and us being married exactly like what you would think of when you marry two ketchup bottles, right? You flip one on top of the other, and they all become the same ketchup. And that's how I think about my relationship. It's like Morgan and I are the same person. We're married, and once we combined our lives, it's like, it's not my decisions anymore, and it's not Morgan's decisions. It's what's best for us, and it becomes a team thing. So it's like, without honesty, you don't have that. It's me and her. And it's like, if it's me and her, then we're not married. We're not one, right? So I really like the idea of being married, like, as one person. So, that takes honesty. So.
Awesome. Dude, let's leave it there.
Yeah.
I like it. If you guys are listening to us on YouTube and you guys aren't subscribed, if you guys could subscribe to Monroe Miller's channel, he would greatly appreciate that. You can get all the newest content. He's got a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming out to you. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, if you guys can give us a 5-star review or share it with your friends, we would appreciate that as well. Coach Miller, I'll see you here again.
This was fun. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. This is the Full Send Podcast, guys. We'll see you later.